Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to Rod's Kitchen. I'm your host, Gordon Ramses II, and tonight we're going to be throwing it back to the old kingdom with this home-style recipe. Dried mummy, just like Mom used to make. First thing you're gonna need is a freshly dead pharaoh. Young, old, fat, thin, whatever. My body of choice tonight belongs to Pharaoh Khufu, a big deal in his heyday. Why a pharaoh, you ask? Well, the pharaohs of Egypt are the supreme rulers of the Egyptian empire, believed to be the sons of Ra, god of the sun. We Egyptians treat them something like gods. When a pharaoh dies, we believe he will live again in the afterlife and face some terrifying tasks to join the gods in the holy kingdom of Osiris. And he needs his moral body preserved to proceed into the great afterlife. Khufu here was actually the second pharaoh of the 4th dynasty and built the Step Pyramid and the Great Pyramid of Giza. For a heavy hitter like this fella, we're going to start by washing the body with a fresh scented palm wine, then rinse with 2.5 cups of Nile water. Next you're going to need your average kitchen brain hook, which you're going to want to insert, like this, into the nostril. If you're having trouble, a few quick whacks to the back of the hook will get you into the brain cavity, and then it's just a matter of swirling things up. Think spaghetti. Then it should pull right out. After you're done, fill that up with resin to keep things from decomposing. Next, you're going to open the chest cavity and remove many of the organs. I like to use an obsidian knife because it's a sacred stone. Remove the liver, stomach, intestines, and lungs, but watch out. It's important to leave the heart where it is. The heart is where we Egyptians believe the aspect of the spirit reside, the center of all consciousness. Your mummy is going to need it in the afterlife. Legend says that once the pharaoh reaches the underworld, the ibis-headed god Thoth will weigh his heart. If it's lighter than a feather, he's good to go to the kingdom of Osiris. If not, bad news. Your pharaoh's heart will be eaten by the crocodile-headed beast Amut, which is no good. The body at this point needs to be stuffed and covered with salt. I recommend natron salt. Once covered, let the body dry for about 40 days. I'm sure you're asking, what do I do with the organs I've removed? Let me tell you a secret. Canopic jars are the way to go. I prefer my Ramses brand, alabaster ones myself, but if you got porcelain or stone, that'll work too. You're gonna need 4 jars, one for the liver, stomach, intestines, and lungs. Careful though, you might have noticed each of these jars has a different face on it. Each important organ that's removed has its own jar with its own deity. We Egyptians have got a lot of gods. Imsidi, the human-headed god, looks after the liver. Happy, the baboon-headed god, looks after the lungs. Duamatef, the jackal-headed god, looks after the stomach. And Kebasenuef, the falcon-headed god, looks after the intestines. Okay, we're back with Khufu, who's been drying for about 40 days now, and is ready for wrapping. Before the actual wrapping, we need to stuff the body to make it seem more lifelike. Today I'll be using sawdust, but you can use leaves or linen depending on your preference. Now we are ready to begin wrapping, using finer linen for the face and neck than the rest of the body. Make sure when you get to the fingers and toes, you individually wrap them, like this. Throughout this process, it's important to have a reputable priest read the spells out loud. They ward off evil spirits, and help guide the deceased to the afterlife. Between layers of linen, you're going to want to add a few fresh amulets. I recommend an Isis knot and a plummet amulet. These are key because they help protect the body on its journey through the underworld. Next, we're going to tie the arms and legs together. After that, a few select spells from the Book of the Dead can be placed between Khufu's hands. Now we will give him one more layer of linen, this time painted with liquid resin that will help glue the layers together. To finish up, we will wrap the whole thing in cloth and paint Osiris on the surface. One more large piece of cloth and he's off to the first coffin. After he's settled, that coffin is lowered into a larger coffin before the whole thing is loaded into the gilded sarcophagus. In terms of presentation, it's nice to place the sarcophagus in a modest sandstone monolith. You may want a few million slaves to start preparing this a few decades before you begin. And make sure you include your Ramses brand alabaster canopic jars in the tomb. And now your pharaoh is all ready for the afterlife. And that's it for tonight's show, folks. Join me again next week where we'll be preparing my secret scarab beetle pie recipe. Thank you, and good night.